Behind the bright lights and roaring applause of country music lies a darker truth. Some stars let fame go straight to their heads. From icy snubs to public meltdowns, these artists treated fans, colleagues, and even the industry itself as if they were beneath them. Today, we pull back the curtain on the most arrogant country stars who believed they were untouchable and reveal how their egos nearly destroyed their legacies. Toby Keith. Toby Keith may have been one of country music's most commercially successful artists, but his reputation behind the scenes told a very different story. Known for his booming voice and patriotic anthems, Keith also earned a reputation for being abrasive, dismissive, and at times downright rude to those who crossed his path. In interviews, he rarely held back from mocking journalists who asked questions he deemed stupid, often shutting them down with sarcastic one-liners. Fans, too, sometimes got the cold shoulder, particularly if they approached him in public when he wasn't in the mood to engage. One infamous incident occurred at a charity event where a fan asked for a quick autograph. Instead of politely declining, Keith allegedly responded with a curt, "Not now. Can't you see I'm busy?" before turning his back and walking away. Witnesses say the moment left the fans stunned, and it wasn't the only time such behavior made headlines. Keith's feud with fellow artist Natalie Maines of the Dixie Chicks further cemented his untouchable persona. Their very public war of words, sparked by political disagreements, often saw Keith taking jabs in interviews and on stage, projecting an image of a man who believed he could say whatever he wanted without consequence. While his core fan base often applauded his bluntness, critics argued it crossed into arrogance and disrespect. Industry insiders have also hinted that working with Keith could be challenging. Demanding in negotiations and fiercely protective of his image, he reportedly rejected countless promotional opportunities if they didn't align perfectly with his vision. "It's Toby's way or no way," one promoter once said, summing up the attitude that followed him throughout his career. Despite the criticism, Keith maintained that he was simply being himself, unapologetic, straightforward, and uninterested in playing nice for the sake of appearances. But for those who experienced the sharper edge of his personality, the line between confidence and arrogance seemed all too blurred. In the end, his legacy remains a mix of undeniable talent and a persona that often made him seem unapproachable, even untouchable. Blake Shelton. Blake Shelton is one of the most recognizable names in modern country music, with a career boosted not only by his chart-topping hits, but also by his role as a coach on The Voice. Charming and witty on camera, Shelton has often been praised for his humor, but away from the spotlight, that humor has sometimes morphed into biting sarcasm that left fans and colleagues feeling insulted. Shelton's social media presence has been a double-edged sword for his image. While many enjoy his playful banter, others have been on the receiving end of scathing tweets that felt more mean-spirited than funny. He has mocked critics, taken digs at fellow artists, and even made controversial jokes that sparked public backlash. One incident involved him responding to a fan's critical comment with a post that many interpreted as belittling and dismissive. While Shelton brushed it off as just messing around, not everyone was laughing. Reports from industry insiders suggest that Shelton's off-stage personality can be unpredictable. Some describe him as warm and approachable, while others recall moments where he appeared impatient or uninterested, particularly during fan meet and greets. There have been accounts of him cutting autograph lines short, walking away mid-conversation, or giving half-hearted responses when he wasn't in the mood to engage. Tensions have also arisen between Shelton and other artists. While he's not known for full-scale feuds like some of his peers, there have been whispers of behind-the-scenes conflicts stemming from his blunt opinions and tendency to speak his mind without a filter. His high-profile romances and media coverage have only added to the perception that he enjoys living in the spotlight on his terms, sometimes at the expense of others' feelings. In interviews, Shelton has openly admitted that he's not one to sugarcoat his words. He insists that his sarcasm and directness are simply part of who he is. But for some fans, the line between playful and arrogant has been crossed too often. While his career remains strong and his fan base loyal, there's no denying that his "I'll say what I want" attitude has rubbed more than a few people the wrong way. Whether you see him as a refreshingly honest personality or a star who lets his ego run wild, Blake Shelton's story proves that charm on TV doesn't always translate to humility behind closed doors. Jason Aldean. Jason Aldean has built a massive fan base with his blend of country and rock influences, but his public image hasn't always been spotless. Known for his cool, confident stage presence, Aldean has also been accused of crossing the line into arrogance, both in his interactions with fans and in the way he handles controversy. One of the most talked about moments in his career came during a meet and greet, when a longtime fan excitedly told him how his music had helped them through a tough time. Instead of showing appreciation, Aldean reportedly gave a quick, distracted thanks before turning to his team and walking away. Those present described the fans' disappointment as heartbreaking, and stories like this have circulated for years. Aldean's critics also point to his handling of media controversies. When faced with backlash over questionable song choices or insensitive public comments, he has often doubled down rather than offering an apology. This "I don't care what you think" attitude has been interpreted by some as confidence, but to others, it's a clear sign of arrogance. His decision to continue performing certain polarizing songs, even after public protests, reinforced his image as someone who puts his own pride above public perception. Behind the scenes, there have been whispers of Aldean being difficult to work with. Some crew members claim he demands tight control over every aspect of his shows, sometimes overruling suggestions from experienced tour staff. While this level of control can be seen as professionalism, others interpret it as an unwillingness to collaborate or compromise. One particularly damaging incident came when Aldean was photographed in a situation that sparked a cheating scandal while he was still married. His initial reaction was defensive, deflecting criticism rather than expressing regret. Although he later addressed the matter more openly, the early arrogance in his response left a lasting mark on his public image. To his loyal fans, Jason Aldean remains a powerhouse performer who knows his worth and refuses to be pushed around. But to his critics, he's a symbol of what happens when success and ego blend too closely. In an industry that thrives on connection, Aldean's aloof and sometimes dismissive demeanor has made him one of the most polarizing figures in modern country music. LeAnn Rimes burst onto the country music scene at just 13 years old, hailed as a prodigy with a voice far beyond her years. But as her fame skyrocketed, so did whispers about her growing ego and aloofness toward fans and colleagues. While her talent was undeniable, her behavior offstage often painted a different picture. One of a star who seemed increasingly out of touch with the people who helped make her famous. Several fans have shared stories of disappointing encounters. At one meet and greet, a young girl approached Rimes with a handmade gift, only to be met with a polite but hurried "thank you" before the singer turned her attention to someone else. In another case, Rimes reportedly refused to take photos with fans waiting outside a venue, telling them she didn't have time, despite being seen chatting casually with her entourage moments later. Her professional relationships haven't been without strain either. Industry insiders claim Rimes can be demanding and difficult to work with, especially when she feels her creative control is threatened. While many artists are protective of their image and sound, Rimes' insistence on having things exactly her way, regardless of the opinions of producers or collaborators, has fueled the perception of arrogance. Her personal life has also contributed to this image. The highly publicized affair with actor Eddie Cibrian, which led to both of their divorces, was handled in a way that many perceived as unapologetic. Rather than keeping a low profile, Rimes appeared to revel in the attention, posting romantic photos online and making candid comments about the relationship, even as criticism poured in. While her defenders argue that she's simply a confident woman unafraid to live on her own terms, detractors see her as someone who dismisses public opinion and fan loyalty. In interviews, Rimes has sometimes responded to criticism with sharp remarks, insisting that those who dislike her don't really know her. This attitude, while perhaps intended as self-assurance, often came across as condescending. Over the years, LeAnn Rimes has remained a polarizing figure, beloved by some for her unmatched vocal talent, but criticized by others for what they see as an untouchable, diva-like persona. Her story serves as a reminder that in country music, a beautiful voice can win hearts, but humility keeps them. Natalie Maines, the powerhouse lead vocalist of the Dixie Chicks, now known simply as the Chicks, has always been a force to be reckoned with. Her sharp wit, fearless opinions, and unwavering confidence made her a standout in country music. But for many, that same boldness crossed the line into arrogance, especially when her words ignited one of the biggest controversies in the genre's history. In 2003, during a concert in London, Maines made headlines when she told the crowd she was ashamed that President George W. Bush was from Texas. What followed was a firestorm, radio boycotts, CD burnings, and a tidal wave of criticism from the country music community. While some artists might have softened their stance or offered an olive branch to angry fans, Maines doubled down. She refused to apologize in the way many expected, instead defending her right to speak her mind and brushing off calls for reconciliation. Her refusal to bend became a defining trait. Supporters admired her courage and saw her as a rebel, challenging an often conservative industry. Critics, however, saw a performer who dismissed the values of her fan base and acted as if she were untouchable. The perception was worsened by her interviews, where she often delivered unapologetic soundbites that left no room for compromise. Even beyond politics, stories from within the industry have painted Maines as someone who could be difficult to work with. She has been described as fiercely protective of her artistic vision, unwilling to compromise even when collaboration could have benefited the group. While this determination helped the Chicks carve out a unique place in country music history, it also added to the impression that Maines saw her opinions as superior to others. Over the years, the controversy became both a burden and a badge of honor. Maines never fully backed down, and for some, that steadfastness cemented her as a cultural icon. But for others, it confirmed their belief that she was an artist who let her convictions, and perhaps her ego, override her connection with the fans who once adored her. Today, Natalie Maines remains one of country music's most polarizing figures. Whether seen as a trailblazer for free speech or as the most arrogant star to ever step on stage, one thing is certain: she never played by anyone else's rules, and she never planned to. Travis Tritt. Travis Tritt rose to fame in the early 90s with his southern rock-infused country style, a gritty voice, and a rebellious image that set him apart from the polished Nashville crowd. But along with his success came a reputation for being blunt. So blunt, in fact, that many saw it as arrogance. Tritt has never shied away from speaking his mind, whether in interviews, on stage, or on social media, and his unfiltered nature has often landed him in the middle of heated debates. One of the most notable aspects of Tritt's career is his public criticism of fellow artists. He's taken shots at performers he feels don't fit the true country mold, dismissing some as sellouts or pretenders. While some fans applaud his passion for traditional country, others view his comments as condescending and unnecessarily combative. His feud with pop country crossovers, for example, painted him as a gatekeeper unwilling to accept the genre's evolution. Tritt's social media presence has only reinforced this image. He's known for posting unapologetically strong opinions, often in ways that leave little room for disagreement. Fans who have challenged him online have occasionally been met with curt or sarcastic replies, leading to accusations that he talks down to those who don't share his views. Offstage, Tritt's interactions with fans have been mixed. Some describe warm, engaging encounters, while others recall moments where he seemed impatient or dismissive, particularly during busy touring schedules. In one incident, a fan who had waited hours for an autograph said Tritt signed their item without making eye contact or saying a word, leaving them feeling deflated. In the industry, Tritt's perfectionism is well known. He insists on high standards for his music and performances, but some collaborators have found his unwillingness to compromise challenging. This perfectionist streak, while admirable in one sense, has also contributed to the perception that he can be difficult to work with. To his supporters, Travis Tritt is a straight shooter, someone who values authenticity above all else and refuses to play by the politically correct rules of the business. To his detractors, he's a prime example of a star whose ego and stubbornness have made him seem unapproachable and at times disrespectful. Either way, His career is proof that being unapologetically yourself in country music can win you loyal fans, but also lifelong critics. Miranda Lambert. Miranda Lambert has built her career on a fiery persona, an outspoken, independent woman who isn't afraid to say exactly what's on her mind. That boldness has earned her countless fans and critical acclaim, but it's also fueled a reputation for arrogance, especially when her offstage behavior has clashed with her onstage charm. One of the most infamous incidents happened during a Las Vegas residency show in 2023, when Lambert stopped mid-performance to call out a group of fans for taking selfies while she was singing. In front of the entire audience, she criticized them for being distracted and not paying attention to the music. While some fans praised her for defending her art, others saw it as unnecessarily humiliating and condescending toward paying ticket holders. The clip went viral, igniting a heated debate about whether Lambert's approach showed passion or pure arrogance. Her relationships with the media have been unequally volatile. Lambert has been known to give curt responses in interviews, especially when asked about her personal life. At times, she's openly walked away from reporters who pressed too hard, leaving an impression of someone unwilling to engage unless the conversation is strictly on her terms. Fan encounters have also been a mixed bag. While many recount warm and friendly meetings, others tell stories of Lambert appearing distant or uninterested during signings and meet and greets. Several fans have claimed she rushed through interactions without much acknowledgement, particularly during tightly scheduled events. Lambert's interactions with fellow artists have occasionally made headlines as well. Rumors of backstage tensions, especially involving other female country stars, have painted her as fiercely competitive, even to the point of being dismissive toward peers. Though she's rarely addressed these stories directly, the whispers have persisted, adding to the image of a star who doesn't always play nice behind the scenes. Despite these controversies, Lambert remains one of country music's most decorated and successful artists. Her defenders argue that her outspokenness is part of what makes her authentic, that she refuses to conform to the smile and wave expectations placed on women in the industry. Critics, however, see her as a performer whose pride and quick temper sometimes overshadow her talent. Whether you view her as a fearless artist standing her ground, or as a diva unwilling to bend, Miranda Lambert's career is a testament to how quickly passion can be mistaken for arrogance and how that perception can follow an artist for years. Kenny Chesney. Kenny Chesney is one of the most commercially successful country artists of the past 3 decades, known for his beach-themed anthems, sold-out stadium tours, and loyal fan base. Yet behind the sun-soaked image and laid-back songs, there have been persistent whispers of a more guarded, even aloof personality, one that some in the industry and among fans have interpreted as arrogance. Part of Chesney's mystique comes from his extreme control over his public image. While many artists embrace media attention, Chesney has been notorious for limiting interviews, carefully curating what he shares, and shutting down questions he deems too personal. While this could be seen as healthy boundary setting, critics say his dismissive tone in certain interviews has made him appear superior and unapproachable. Stories from backstage add to this perception. Former crew members and industry insiders have said Chesney runs a tight ship on tour. Every detail from stage design to catering must meet his exact specifications. While professionalism is part of the job, some describe him as unwilling to compromise, even on minor details. One promoter recalled an event where Chesney refused to start the show until a minor lighting issue was fixed, delaying the concert for nearly an hour and frustrating thousands of fans. Fan encounters have also fueled the arrogance narrative. While many report warm, positive meetings, others describe moments where Chesney seemed disengaged, offering quick smiles and autographs without much personal connection. In some cases, fans who approached him in public settings claimed they were brushed off or ignored entirely. Perhaps the most telling aspect of Chesney's reputation is the way he navigates controversies, by largely ignoring them. When criticized for high-ticket prices, setlist choices, or perceived snubs at award shows, Chesney rarely responds directly. This silence, while possibly strategic, can come across as an above-it-all attitude to those who expect accountability or openness from their idols. Despite these criticisms, Chesney's career remains nearly bulletproof. His ability to sell out massive venues and maintain a devoted fan base speaks to his undeniable talent and brand consistency. To his admirers, his guarded nature is simply part of his professionalism. To detractors, it's a sign of a star who knows he's at the top and acts like it. Either way, Kenny Chesney's blend of charm on stage and calculated distance off it has solidified him as both an icon and one of the most enigmatic and potentially arrogant figures in country music. Kid Rock. While Kid Rock straddles the line between rock, rap, and country, his larger-than-life persona has made him a notable and often controversial figure within the country music sphere. Known for his unapologetic attitude and brash style, he has cultivated an image that thrives on being untouchable, even when public opinion turns against him. For some, this makes him authentic. For others, it's pure arrogance. Kid Rock's reputation has been built in part on his open disdain for critics. Whether in interviews or during concerts, he's been known to curse out reporters, mock political opponents, and directly call out fans he perceives as disrespectful. One notorious moment came when he delivered a profanity-laced rant against award shows, claiming they were rigged and beneath him. Instead of walking back his words, he doubled down, saying he didn't need their approval anyway. Fan encounters can be unpredictable. While many describe him as engaging and fun when he's in a good mood, others have walked away with less flattering stories. There have been accounts of him refusing photos, abruptly ending conversations, or tossing sarcastic comments that left fans feeling insulted rather than entertained. For someone who thrives on being seen as a man of the people, these moments create a jarring disconnect. Kid Rock's public feuds have also fueled his arrogant image. He's clashed with fellow musicians, celebrities, and political figures, often using crude language and personal insults. His willingness to burn bridges, sometimes over relatively minor disagreements, has solidified his "I don't care who I offend" reputation. On stage, his performances are high energy, but even there, arrogance seeps in. Some concertgoers have complained about extended political rants between songs, feeling that they overshadowed the music they came to hear. Yet his core fan base often cheers these moments, seeing them as proof that he refuses to conform. In many ways, Kid Rock's perceived arrogance is intentional. It's part of his brand. He's built his career on projecting strength, independence, and defiance, with little interest in smoothing out his rough edges. For fans who value raw authenticity, he's a hero. For those who expect humility and respect from their country stars, he's a cautionary tale. Love him or hate him, Kid Rock remains one of the most polarizing crossover acts in modern country music. A performer who thrives on the very controversy that others might avoid, and who seems determined to remain untouchable to the very end. Shania Twain is one of the most beloved and successful female artists in country music history, credited with transforming the genre in the late 90s and early 2000s with her crossover hits. But along with her meteoric rise came a reputation for being intensely guarded and, at times, a bit of a diva. An image that some fans and industry insiders have interpreted as arrogance. Twain's attention to detail and control over her career is legendary. She was deeply involved in every aspect of her music, from songwriting to video production to tour design. While this meticulous approach contributed to her groundbreaking success, some collaborators have described her as difficult to please, with expectations so high that they bordered on unrealistic. "Nothing gets past her," one former crew member once said, but sometimes it felt like nothing was ever good enough. Her interactions with fans have been mixed over the years. Many recount warm, gracious encounters that made them lifelong admirers. However, there have also been instances where she was perceived as distant, particularly during large-scale meet and greets where her time was tightly managed. Some attendees felt rushed with little opportunity for genuine connection, leaving them with the impression that Twain saw these moments as obligations rather than opportunities. Twain's reluctance to engage with the media has also contributed to her perceived aloofness. She often limits interviews and keeps her personal life closely guarded, sometimes deflecting questions with curt or polished responses that reveal little about her true feelings. While this could be interpreted as professionalism, critics argue it creates a barrier between her and her audience. Adding to this image are persistent rumors from her early touring days, when some crew members allegedly referred to her as hard to work for due to strict backstage rules and her insistence on absolute punctuality and precision. Though such discipline is common among top-tier performers, for some it reinforced the perception of a star who expected the world to operate on her schedule. Despite these criticisms, Shania Twain's charm, beauty, and undeniable talent have kept her at the top of the country music pantheon. Her defenders argue that she simply has high standards and refuses to compromise her vision, a quality that male artists are often praised for. Still, her career serves as a reminder that in the public eye, confidence can easily be mistaken for arrogance, especially when you're operating at Shania Twain's level of fame. Hank Williams Jr., the son of country legend Hank Williams, carved out his own identity with a blend of Southern rock, outlaw country, and unapologetic bravado. His career has been marked by an unshakable self-confidence, one that many fans admire, but that others see as pure arrogance. Known for speaking his mind without hesitation, Williams Jr. has made a habit of wading into controversy and emerging seemingly unconcerned about the fallout. Perhaps his most notorious moment came in 2011, when he made a political comparison during a televised interview that caused ESPN to pull his long-running Monday Night Football theme song. Instead of offering a conciliatory statement, Williams Jr. doubled down, releasing a defiant song criticizing the network and the political figures involved. For supporters, it was proof of his fearless nature. For critics, it was an example of a star refusing to admit when he'd gone too far. Over the years, he's been involved in multiple public spats, not just with political figures, but also with fellow musicians. He has openly criticized other artists for what he sees as watering down the genre, dismissing their music as not real country. While this stance has earned him respect among traditionalists, it has also fueled his image as someone who talks down to peers and positions himself as a gatekeeper. Fan interactions have also been mixed. While some recall memorable and generous encounters, others tell of moments when Williams Jr. appeared disinterested, signing autographs without making eye contact or abruptly ending conversations. His concerts, though high energy, sometimes include extended political rants that alienate portions of the audience, reinforcing the perception that he values his own opinions above fan enjoyment. Behind the scenes, Williams Jr. is said to run his operation with an iron grip. From tour schedules to set lists, he reportedly insists on making every final decision, leaving little room for collaboration. While this ensures his shows meet his exact standards, it has also caused friction with crew members and promoters. To his devoted followers, Hank Williams Jr. is a proud, uncompromising legend who refuses to bow to industry pressures. But to detractors, he's the embodiment of the untouchable star, someone whose ego is as large as his legacy. Either way, his decades-long career proves that arrogance and authenticity can sometimes walk hand in hand in country music. Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks is often celebrated as one of the most successful country artists of all time, credited with bringing arena-sized energy to the genre and breaking sales records few could imagine. But alongside his monumental success, Brooks has also earned a reputation, at least among some fans and industry insiders, for having a tightly controlled, even domineering approach to his career, which some interpret as arrogance. From the earliest days of his rise in the 1990s, Brooks was known for managing every detail of his brand. He insisted on approving all publicity materials, had strict photo policies, and kept a firm grip on interviews. While this meticulous control helped craft a nearly flawless public image, it also created an atmosphere where spontaneity and sometimes genuine fan connection seemed secondary to presentation. One of the more controversial chapters in his career came in 1999, when he introduced his rock alter ego, Chris Gaines. The move was meant to expand his artistry, but was widely panned and confused many fans. Instead of openly acknowledging the misstep at the time, Brooks largely avoided discussing it for years, which some saw as an unwillingness to admit fault. Behind the scenes, Brooks has been described as demanding when it comes to live shows. Crew members have shared stories of his perfectionism. Every light cue, stage position, and sound level had to be exactly right before he would step on stage. While this ensured high-quality performances, it sometimes caused delays and tension among staff. Fan interactions have been equally mixed. While Brooks has a reputation for long meet and greets and generous gestures, there have been moments when his approach felt more like a publicity exercise than genuine engagement. Some fans have said that once the cameras were off, his demeanor cooled noticeably. Perhaps the most telling sign of Brooks's untouchable image is how little he responds to criticism. Whether it's about ticket pricing, setlist choices, or his sometimes polarizing business moves, Brooks tends to maintain a carefully scripted silence, or addresses the issue in a way that reinforces his narrative. This has left critics feeling that he operates on a different plane, one where he's accountable only to himself. To his admirers, Garth Brooks is a consummate professional whose standards have elevated country music as a whole. To his detractors, he's a master of control whose ego matches his record-breaking career. Either way, his story proves that in country music, being on top for decades often means walking the fine line between confidence and arrogance.